For several years, I've been optimistically awaiting the commercialization of sodium-ion batteries, and I was really pinning my hopes on U.S. startup Natron Energy, which was planning a $1.4 billion factory in North Carolina. And then, in late 2025, it went bankrupt. I was excited about sodium-based battery chemistries because they're more stable than other lithium-based systems such as lithium iron phosphate, LFP, or nickel manganese cobalt, NMC. Sodium batteries can operate safely over a much wider range of temps, especially cold weather, and they have extraordinarily long cycle lives, up to 20,000 cycles versus about 7,000, say, for LFP and about 2,000 to 3,000 for NMC batteries. And sodium batteries are inherently less costly than lithium-based alternatives. There's a ton of salt in the world, if they can be manufactured at volumes that can drive economies of scale. The biggest knock on sodium batteries is energy density. The International Energy Agency reports that the latest sodium-ion cells achieve around 175 watt-hours per kilogram, compared with about 205 watt-hours per kg for LFP batteries and about 255 watt-hours per kg for NMC batteries. That matters for electric vehicles that must haul the weight of batteries around, but far less so for stationary storage that serves our power grids. And until recently, the EV industry set the stage and dominated the terms for the stationary storage battery space because the global EV market provided the scale for battery development and manufacturing. Stationary storage was kind of like a tick on the electric vehicle dog. Wherever that dog went, the tick was along for the ride. But with today's scale and the global electric power industry, that storage tick can now hop off the dog and blaze its own path. A fact perhaps nowhere better illustrated than Ford's May 11th announcement that it was forming a subsidiary, Ford Energy, and repurposing its originally designed EV battery factory to address the storage opportunity, although it won't be using a sodium-based battery. Ford Energy's factory will churn out 20 gigawatt hours annually, with EDF just announcing it will take about 20% of that output over the next 5 years. So when you hit that scale, it makes sense to press the accelerator on improving manufacturing and deploying of batteries specifically for the power grid. And sodium batteries fit that bill. The good news on the manufacturing front is that sodium scale-up can take advantage of existing lithium-ion battery production lines, since the manufacturing process is very similar. Estimates are that when the industry is fully scaled, a sodium-ion battery will have a 25 to 30% lower material cost tab than a comparable LFP battery. Fortunately, despite Natron Energy's demise, US-based startups continue to soldier on. One leading contender is Peak Energy, which in November of last year announced a multi-year agreement with developer Jupiter Power for up to 4.75 gigawatt hours of sodium-ion battery energy storage systems to be deployed between 2027 and 2030, with an initial 720 megawatt hours next year. Last year, Peak also announced that it had shipped its first sodium batteries to be used in a shared pilot with 9 utilities and independent power producers. The company touts its battery storage package as being the first ever fully passive system, meaning that it requires no active cooling, fans, pumps, or other moving parts. The stuff that in lithium-ion systems can break down and represents about 85% of the root causes behind battery system failures. That's a good start here in the US, but if you want to see where the sodium-ion batteries are likely headed in the future, you have to look to the same country that has dominated manufacturing and commercialization of solar panels, lithium batteries, and EVs for much of the last decade, and that's China. That country cranks out over 75% of the world's lithium-ion batteries, and it dominates the space. Peeling that back a bit further, you need to look not only at China, but specifically at what contemporary Amperex technologies known as CATL, CATL, is doing. CATL is to batteries what NVIDIA is to AI chips. It commands nearly 40% of global market share, and it means to continue that dominance. It does so by possessing a staggering manufacturing capacity while also investing heavily in R&D, including sodium-based batteries. In late May, for example, CATL heralded a 20-acre, $440 million one-stop testing and validation platform proving ground that's designed as an open and shared infrastructure accessible to all players in the global energy storage sector. Its global innovation network comprises 6 R&D centers plus the one it just announced, and employs over 23,000 R&D personnel with well over 50,000 domestic and international patents either achieved or pending. So yeah, pay attention to what CATL does, the rest of the battery herd will eventually follow. CATL's most recent and meaningful announcement on the sodium battery front is a strategic cooperation agreement with Chinese firm Hyperstrong. That arrangement calls for 60 gigawatt hours of sodium-ion batteries. CATL and Hyperstrong, its first strategic partner for sodium energy storage, will collaborate in areas including technology R&D, product applications, and project development. You should probably always take my predictions with, well, a grain of salt. But I'm fairly confident that sodium-based battery chemistries are about to mainstream in the electric power industry, first in China, and ultimately peppering the landscape in grids nearer to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.